that gonna work? Seemed like third time was the charm last time. Technical difficulties. Started new stream. Okay, let's see if that works. Come on, baby. Are you gonna work for me? Yay, it's working! Let's see. Let's see how far it is behind. Or did that just... Are you working? It's like there's a delay. Big delay. I don't know what she's doing. Oh, see, that's the one that's showing up is from like, yeah. So I'll just keep going like I initially planned. What I'm doing is I'm doing a study of Mona Lisa. If you're new here, I've been doing a Master Study Monday. And for the last one of the year, I wanted to do Mona. Yay! I hope I didn't just mess things up by switching over and all that stuff. I don't know how long I've been live, so, or how long you can see me because of all the switcheroos. So I'm really sorry about that. I can fix that. I'm just going to keep going. Oh, yep, it must be working. Okay. Good deal. Yay. We are here. We're going to do it. Last night, if this was cut off at the first, forgive me if this is a repeat while I put on my gloves and stuff. But I started using, it says 2 minutes on mine. Okay. Maybe you did get it. I started using these last night. I bought these a while back, and they're R&F drawing oils. And I bought several of them. There's some more underneath there to try out. I need to take my smartwatch off because even though it's a cheapie, it will get paint all over it. Okay. Anyway, so I use that for the underpainting, if you want to call it that. I had to stop myself because I wanted to keep going. I wanted to get these out and get going last night. I am looking for something. Part of the problem is, part of my issue right now is we are preparing to move. And I have not painted since last week. Let's just go with these brushes. And my grandchildren, my beautiful grandchildren, had free reign of the studio. as they should. And so some things got moved. I don't think that's any good. Anyhow's it. We all know Mona. We're on a first name basis. Poncho agrees. So what I'm going to do is, this will probably be over a couple of days if I need to, because it's Mona. I mean, it's Mona. The oils that I'm using are just, I'm sorry, I should be just diving right in here. The oils that I'm using are like leftover ones from when I did, oh, what's his face? Freud. I did Lucian Freud, but I didn't realize it at the time that I was painting it, but when I looked at it later, I realized it looks like Freud's, but it also looks a lot like Steve Bannon, who is who people thought it was when I put it on social media. But nope, that was Freud's mother. Lucian Freud's. Mona here has a lot of, I don't want to say mythology, but she has a lot of history behind her. There was not just the one painted. I have notes here that will help all of us. There we go. By the way, when you buy a cutting board to use for a palette, make sure it doesn't have ripples in it. This one does. This is my backup palette. My good one's on my other. My tabouret. Some yellow ochre in there. My palette is just typical colors. Thank you for being here too, by the way. I really appreciate that, because, you know, I like painting. I love painting. I love painting. But it's so much more fun when I do these lives and you all show up. One thing I noticed on this, from me using these RNFs, is that there's some rough spots. I put it on really thick, so I'm just gonna kind of shave that off. And I see some of the proportions are wrong today with my fresh eyes. Feel free to tell me what you all are working on. I know that scraping sounds real pleasant, isn't it? To me, it's the sound of progress. Yes. Anybody doing plans for the holidays, or doing last minute freakouts? Sorry, Mona. See, the shadow is still there, so that's okay. I'm getting rid of this so that my paint, when I put it on top of it, will be cleaner. This is not something I do after every layer. It's just, I know there are some areas where I've got too much of the wrong color. Mona, my dear. Let's see what Mona has to say. One thing that might surprise you is the Mona Lisa is not as big as what you might think it is. as far as in size. She's actually 30 inches by 21, and she's painted on a panel. Ooh, there I got my notes. Got them on my phone. We're cooking with gas now. I wanted to paint this flat, so I went with the same scale, but it's still smaller than hers. This one I think is, what, 12 by 16? So we're about half, almost a half. Yeah, 3/4. We're about half. Get this. Okay, Miss Mona. I started to call her Mr. There is a link in the description too that will take you to some more information that is at the National Gallery. I need one other paintbrush. I have a feeling my grandson moved it because he liked it too. Where did you go? I have not started packing in here, but there are boxes everywhere. Oh, there's the one I wanted. The paints that I'm using are a mixture. The white is a Williamsburg. A lot of these are the 1980 Gamblin are these. And I've just got the traditional palette laid out here. Yeah, and I hear it's like behind, I have not seen it in person. It's behind like a roped area, and people are not very polite, from what I understand, sometimes, about shoving you out of the way to go see it. These are just all just cheap brushes here. I was trying to find my Rosemary and Co. I probably put them in a safe spot because anticipation of moving. I'm looking. Yeah. Well, if this doesn't work, I'll get a different brush. They're right there behind me. It's not like it's a big deal. Let's see. His palette colors, he tended to use lead white with a mixture for some of the highlights. A vermilion or a cinnabar for the subtle reddish tones in areas. Red ochre for the warmer skin tones and earthy elements. Yellow ochre, of course, which I put down. Again, for some of the flesh tones and warm highlights. Raw or burnt umber. I think I have both of them on here. Green earth, terra verde, underpainting and flesh to neutralize the shadows, like in this area right here. You can see. And now remember, the image that you're looking at too is one that is has aged. It hasn't been cleaned, so there's in my mind, there's a little bit more of a yellow tint to it, but I think I'm going to lean into that and go for it with that. He also used a carbon black or bone black, which was literally made from bones. Ultramarine sometimes. I think that's what he must have used up here. with the green earth to do some of this up here. Some of the techniques that he used very thin, soft layers, hence why I scraped off all that excess. This by no means will be exactly like Leonardo da Vinci's techniques because, well, if you know me, I'm going more for the end result. So this is a study. Glazing, multiple semi-transparent layers built upon death, which also means that you need to let it dry and then paint on top of it. And we don't have weeks to let this dry. 2026 is coming up fast. So I might do this over a couple of days, but it won't be completely dry. So, but he used a glazing. An underpainting, he often used green earth or umber as a base for flesh, which is usually what I do. I'll use a burnt umber and I'll do the whole thing just monochromatic and use that as my base. But like I said, this time I use these sticks. I might take those away, in fact, because I doubt I'm going to be using those. I know you probably can't even see them because of the reference photo, but I thought it would be helpful for both of us for that to be there. The reference photo. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at the original. I keep pointing over here because I've got it on my iPad up here. But yeah, I'm going to look at the original and just try and get that transferred. Not necessarily copied, but get at least the oomph of it. Some of it. I'm not Da Vinci, so. Sfumata means smoky. Leonardo blended shadows around her eyes and mouth for that mysterious smile. He built the face from cool undertones of green earth and umber, and then added warm skin tones on top. And I am going to put out a little, well, this is some Viridian. I think I'm going to need it. Yeah, I'm so glad I got so organized here next to my you wouldn't believe it while I'm running around right now, but there's a tabouret right over here that I just put together the other day. I mean, it's been, it hasn't been long, and I turned it into a tabouret. It's actually an inexpensive little thing on rollers. It's not one of those craft carts, but it's kind of similar. Let's get some fleshy tones. Let's blow your face up. There you go. So I'm going to be focusing on this area a lot today. And I think I got the proportions off some. Her hand needs to come down. Yeah. And I'm anxious to get some of these colors in there. Yellow that up. This will be built up over the course of our working time. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Look at that paint. Yes, I get excited about paint. getting out some little samples that I got. I did a video. I have not edited it because apparently I'm not that organized as I just claimed to be. They're these little samples that I got from Gapka. You get 6 colors, whatever colors you choose, and they send you these little containers, and there's quite a bit in there, and it was like $12, and they're handmade oil paints. So I might try some of them out with this. We have been looking for a house for quite a while, just casually, not not necessarily putting a lot of faith that we were going to find something, because the market, I mean, we all know what the market is, and our budget is not hundreds of thousands of dollars, to be perfectly honest. So we've been looking. Anyway, this house kind of fell into our lap at the perfect time. It's a fixer-upper. I'm really excited about it. I have to control myself because we have not closed yet. Yet I found myself making lists of projects that need to be done and how much supplies were going to cost, but we haven't closed yet. But it is I've told people online, we have not talked about it too much to locals, but I live in a small town. So it is I wonder if I should just turn that off. It doesn't make much difference, does it? I say a lot. You'll have to forgive me. I'm working on it. It's kind of a green. I do a lot of mixing on the canvas, so if colors do not go down exactly as they should, do not stress it, because I will work on it. You have to trust the process, right? I'm really excited about this house. Get me wound up about it and I will talk your ear off. It is a 1924 Craftsman that, as I said, needs work. But the last owner lived there for almost 30 years, and it still has the original colonnade. I know that sounds fancy, but it has the original colonnade, and the woodwork is all still original. There's a lot about this house that I just, you know, when you see that house and you just know. There's some really unique features about it that are that I just love. The area that I will be using as my studio space, for now anyway, for when, not if, when, I have to keep a R. Oh, let me talk about Mona instead of the house. The original, in the portrait, painted by Leonardo da Vinci around 1503. Some scholars suggest he worked on it until 1517. So he may have been working on this puppy for a while. He used oil on a poplar panel. Poplar wood, that is. It's currently located in the Louvre in Paris. Where it's been since the French Revolution, except for temporary relocations. Mona had some issues over the years, some political issues. I am going to smooth out this paint too, so it's much similar to the smoothness that he has on there. He painted this portrait likely as a he painted it in Florence, sorry, likely as a portrait of Lisa Gherardini, the wife of Francisco del Giocondo, which is why it's also called La Giocondo and not just Mona Lisa. Over the centuries, there's been a lot of copies and versions have been made by Leonardo's students and other artists. Some famous variations. Isleworth Mona Lisa, claimed by some to be the earlier Leonardo version. Despite these, the Louvre version is universally accepted as the original, authentic original. Let's get her nose shadow on there so we know she's... I'm really working more on values right now to make sure I've got things where they need to go before I get too detailed. Come on, Mona. The smile is due to Leonardo's sfumato technique. It creates soft transitions between light and shadow. That's what they claim anyway. The eyes seem to follow you around. A lot of times that is how the iris or the pupil and all is located. And he knew this, so he positioned things, they assume, on purpose that way to give it a little extra mystery. Security and Fame. It was stolen briefly in 1911. Sorry. But it's now protected by bulletproof glass and climate control. So Mona's got her security detail. X-rays and infrared scans have revealed underpainting adjustments in Leonardo's working progress, showing how he meticulously layered things. And like I said, we won't be doing a lot of layering because that would require this to dry before, and oil paint takes a long time to dry. And we're just going to do this in a day or two. I don't know for sure how long I'm going to get to go today. I may simply get to a point and think, oh, this is a good place to put a pause in it, but it will be at least a couple of hours today. Rendered similarly to Renaissance portrayals of Virgin Mary, the piece features a female figure who, again, most people assume to be Lisa Giardini, the wife of cloth and silk merchant Francisco del Giacomo. Get her little eye a little under control there. And I'm using a 1/4 inch, and I'm going to continue to use it as long as I can before switching to a smaller to get some of the detail. No, I kind of like some of this brush work. That's one of the problems with doing studies, is sometimes I get the brush work the way I want it. Hey, how you doing? What's going on? What's going on with people in the chat? Thank you for the kind words. I appreciate it. I intended on taking December off. I lasted about 2 weeks. And then this house fell in our lap. So my off time, I don't know why I keep using finger quotes, has been changed to include preparing to move. So the house that we are moving into, we do not close for another month. Just FYI. So that means if you see me on film or on camera and I still have the same background, only much messier. That's why. Because I'm going to put everything. We've already started boxing things up and decluttering. Let's see. She's shown seated in a Louisa, or a room with at least one open side. Behind her is a hazy and seemingly isolated landscape imagined by the artist in painting using sfumata, a technique resulting in forms without lines or borders. In other words, it's kind of hazy back there. And that was intentional. Not this, the haziness back there. After Leonardo died in 1519, the Mona Lisa remained in France. Where the artist spent the remainder of his days. It's been a while since I've looked at Leonardo's biographical information, so I'm not sure about his age and whatnot. Hopefully it will come up in my notes that I put together. Most of this information, especially at first here, is on that link that I mentioned that is in the description. So if anybody is doing research of any kind that got her chin too wide here, that there's a link in the description that might be of use. See, I kind of like those like loose. I mean, I don't like this there, but I mean, if I kept going with this brush. It remained in the possession of the royal family for centuries until it was finally put on permanent display in the Louvre in 1797. So about the time the United States was coming around, or coming about, or after. At the beginning of the 20th century, the Mona Lisa was still relatively unknown outside of the art world. Then in 1911, a heist put the painting in the spotlight. Louvre employee Francesco Perugia, an Italian native, stole the portrait from the museum with the intention of returning it to Italy, where he believed that it belonged, because it was in France. I realize there are issues here and there. If you see them, do not be alarmed. They will be be dealt with as we progress, hopefully in an adequate fashion. They say every portrait is also a self-portrait, so if she winds up with very pale skin, wrinkles, bags under her chin, a waddle, do not be alarmed. I am glad I started this last night, though, with the main, because this is fun. Just get to come in and do it like this. I need to remember that in future projects. I still have an exhibit coming up this year too that I need to be working toward having enough work for. And see, she's not showing up as yellow on the screen as I want her to be, but right now because I want that age look on it. I know it's not authentic to what he did, but I am gonna go with it. And if you need to leave, I will be here for a while. The heist I find really fascinating because how does one walk out of the Louvre? I say as I just realized there was a theft recently. But maybe since it wasn't that well known, you know, it wasn't like on radar. Let's see. The person that stole the painting kept it in his apartment for 2 years, and he showed it to an art dealer who became very suspicious. And he was also the director of an art gallery in Florence. And it was actually exhibited in the gallery or in the museum for 2 weeks. Eventually, the Mona Lisa was returned to the Louvre, and the person who stole it had to serve 6 months in prison. Which seems kind of a light sentence to me. But times were different. The incident put this painting that was relatively unknown into the spotlight. I'm adding a little more yellow ochre. I think I need some raw sand in here too. became an overnight sensation and inspiring people to appreciate it as an example of high Renaissance portraiture. Yeah, I got that too dark. I will fix that right now. The way I learned to paint was from big to small, and to do an underpainting of sorts, and then add the color on top. It tends to be my go-to method. Let me move this clock. I know you can hear it ticking all the way up there. Okay, this is not perfect, but I think I'm going to move on to a different area before I start getting too anal about things. This will stay wet and I can come back. It's the great thing about oils. Currently, I am wondering about her eyebrows. I knew this ahead of time, obviously, because everybody knows about her. No eyebrow thing. What? I'm sure I probably have it in my notes. I took these notes a long time ago, and see, she looks older. Hence, every portrait's also a self-portrait. I see I got that line here. There's like a net kind of over her hair. You can see the line right here. But underneath there is a reddish auburn hair. I find it really interesting that it took it being stolen to become as well known as it is. Yeah, that needs to come down. She's got a long neck there. That's better. Due to its tumultuous past and contemporary fame, today the Mona Lisa is exhibited behind a layer of bulletproof glass. Even in such unique and controversial display, the painting remains one of the most popular pieces in the Louvre, and unsurprisingly, one of the most viewed and visited paintings in the world. How many artists have painted this? And um, I'm going to open some of these samples. I know that looks way too bright, but in moderation, it might. Um, Come on, can't get the lid off this one. I haven't used them, so um, other than swatching them. Come on. It's not wanting to come off. If you missed it earlier, I bought these samples from this company called Gapka. I don't know if you can. Maybe you can see it. They make handmade paints, and I don't feel like their prices are unreasonable in the least. For instance, oops, that's got some. This little this little sample set was $12, and I want to say the shipping was free. What's with me today? I'm dropping everything. But get a little cad red in there so I can warm some of this up. I know that's not what he used, but it's a study, not a copy, like I always say. I think this is actually a magenta here. So, what was I going for? I tend to not keep a very neat palette, and I keep saying that's something I'm going to work on. I'm going through decluttering things, and I know one of the things I am not going to get rid of are art books. Obviously, I did that before. They went to good homes, but I wish I had that collection back in some ways. Can I repurchase them? Of course. She's giving you the stink eye. Look at that. I think that's my sign to move to another area. If you're watching this on the replay, and you have any questions, feel free to put them in the comments. I have an entire playlist of master studies. This is something I did all year in 2025 on Mondays. Did I get her forehead too high? I think I might have. Yeah, I did. I'm gonna scrape some of this up here. Just so I'm not. I am using walnut oil so it will stay wet a little longer. See why I scraped that off. For the 500th anniversary of Leonardo's death in Paris, the Louvre hosted a blockbuster exhibition that used innovative virtual reality to bring visitors closer to the Mona Lisa. Using cutting-edge technology, this event enabled art lovers to go behind the bulletproof glass and examine the hidden details of the painting. That is cool. I was not aware of that. Yeah, that's better. I'm not going to worry too much about details in the background. I'm just going to block in areas of color so that I can go over them later. And do what needs to be done on those. I am taking a course with Nick Nimmin, who I respect, on YouTube channels. So there probably will be some very visible changes to things, whether it be appearance or whatever I need to do, or content might pivot a little. Not, I don't want to pivot a great deal, but I do need to make this channel make an income, so I have to find that happy balance in there. I'm just adding a little, ooh, okay, maybe too much ultramarine. Maybe not. I probably got that a little too soupy, but needs more of a greenish hue to it, doesn't it? The name Leonardo da Vinci always raises enormous interest in the art world. The famed Renaissance polymath, celebrated for his paintings, but he also engineered ideas, scientific explorations, and writings, has been a subject of another research recently conducted by the Museum of National do Prado. This time the focus is on the artist's immediate circle and works created in his studio, including copies of Miss Mona. By the time I come back to this, hopefully, tomorrow, this soupiness up here will be dried out, or at least tacky. There's a line on the original right here that comes down. I wonder if it was damaged. Because it doesn't look like a crack in the paint. It looks like almost like a slice repair. I know that shows up a lot darker on the reference photo on your screen. And remember, there are differences in how color is perceived depending upon your monitor and the camera and all that good stuff. So I'm going by, whoop, come back here. I'm going by what I see, and I just pushed. Whoops. I just pushed the wrong button. I am trying to go fat over lean, which is why I'm using a little bit of walnut oil, because I use those paint sticks. My smartphone just reminded me I need to drink water for my smartwatch. Let's see. clicked another button on my notes. Technical and analytical equipment used in the original research of the museum confirms the Prada's Mona Lisa has been painted during Leonardo's time in the presence and under the supervision of the master. The comparative analysis of the Mona Lisa in Prado and the painted original in the Louvre shows that the two paintings were created in parallel, with anonymous artists working beside the master, copying the creative process, details, and corrections. But infrared reflectogram revealed that the details beneath the surface are identical in some places. Some of the invisible modifications are repeated in the Madrid work as well. So that's why they think it was done. They were done side by side. Trying to get mainly around her head. Obviously, because of so I'm just blocking in this background, the sky back here, and then I will go back and make sure that it is closer to what he has, because it's very there's some variations in it that are very subtle, and I want to capture those better than just this quick little block in here. Okay, I think I've got the information here that is somewhat adequate so that I can get some of the rest. I think some of this is going to have to be shifted down, and that means that some of this down here may wind up falling off, but I'm okay with that. I'll make it work. I'll put a paintbrush in her hand or something to make it look like it's supposed to be that way, or something. This is a study and not a copy, so ideally I would have gotten a canvas that was the same size as the original. But I just, I went through and grabbed one with the same dimensions, the same proportion. That's what I meant to say. Okay. Goodness. really like using filbert brushes because you can get those edges. If you have a good brush, you can get a line also. I mean, you can do that with the flat as well, but I don't know, there's just something for me about the feel of a filbert. You see that proportion wise, I'm measuring the proportions on my monitor. Okay. Yeah, that needs to come down. Keep wanting to creep that shoulder back up in here, and we don't want that. She has kind of a long neck. Again, if you excuse me, if you're just joining, this is more of like an underpainting. I realize the colors are not exact. I've got notes here on Da Vinci and the Mona Lisa that I'm kind of going through. Oops, that's too dark. I'm using, I believe it's a 1/4 inch paintbrush. It's just an inexpensive little brush that came in a set. It's nothing special. We are hopefully not just decluttering, but preparing to move. And so I'm very conscious of what art supplies I have out. That's going to take a detailed brush in there to get the hairs on there. Hairs on there. Let's see. Part of the chair and the veil on the left hand. Veil on the left hand. I assume it means like right in here, because I don't see any in here. But there's like something's casting, so I'm assuming that's coming down. And pieces of fabric on the Mona Lisa chest. Oh, chest. Sorry. Are better preserved on the Prado painting than on the original. My smartwatch reminded me I needed to take a drink of water, and I didn't. The colors are brighter. Giorgio Vasari noted the rosy tone of the woman's lips, and this detail is still visible in Prado's work. Due to these findings, the time of its production have changed as well, as the painting is now dated to 1507 to 16. That's the copy that's sometimes accredited to Da Vinci. while the unnamed artist tried to follow and repeat the master's work. Lost my place. Interesting enough, the artist also preserved individuality by not trying to impersonate the original in every detail. Drawings and lines unrelated to the Paris Mona Lisa, which is attributed to being the original, drawings and lines unrelated to the Paris Mona Lisa appear in the piece, confirming that Prada's piece is more than a mere copy. They say he probably did it in the studio along with Da Vinci. They created them side by side as if you were a student. They assume. They think. I'm using some just burnt umber here, or burnt umber? Yeah, burnt umber, to get some of these hair curls to show a little, but without a lot of nitpicking. Just kind of swirling it in there, turning the brush. This goes down here. And again, I'm probably going to have to scoot down stuff, so I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. I love reading about art heist. I think it's interesting what effect it has on the importance of the piece to art history. Am I saying go create something and have somebody steal it? No. But it's interesting. I'm on the board of a local gallery, and we had a break-in, and they destroyed children's artwork. That were hanging, and I know I immediately was like, mentally, the importance of that artwork went up several levels in my brain, because it was like, how dare they? So I wonder if that's kind of the same phenomenon that happens with more historical pieces, I would assume. Okie dokie, let's see here. Oh, I need to put a thicker layer up there by her head, because if I don't, I'm mainly focusing on the figure today and not so much the background, except for directly connected to the figure so that my edges don't look like they were stenciled on. Like right in here. I love blending the paint on the surface of the canvas. It's just, there's something very satisfying about it. Part of me almost wants to leave this painterly, but I realize that might... Sorry, I know I pause a lot. It's because it's really difficult to paint and talk at the same time. It's like I'm using two totally separate parts of my brain at the same time. And oh, I hear a trash truck. That reminds me I need to get trash out today. I know, random. Leonardo's studio and practice, where the Mona Lisa undoubtedly attracts the most attention. Other segments of this special show that they did about him on his 500th anniversary of his death included infrared reflectograms and graphic materials. Again, sorry, that kind of got me off. Back to the Prada Mona Lisa, which is the one that was attributed to Da Vinci incorrectly, when it was actually, it looks like one of his students probably did it alongside of him. While he supervised his pupils, he allowed them a certain level of freedom. He shared pictorial and graphic practices, testified to Leonardo's idea about the reproduction of nature that should not be mediated by hand and focus of light and color effects, leading to the blending of pigment and erasure of brushstrokes. However, how this is achieved was left to artists, while adhering to Leonardo's teachings, put them into practice in various ways. Some blended the pigment with their fingers, while others copied the master's approach with networks of red and white strokes painted over gray fields. Well, that's interesting. I did not know that. I love learning about how other artists work. I love looking at other people's art studios, which is why I might be doing a behind the scenes of this move. Potential move. I need to be realistic. We haven't closed yet. I'm just very, very hopeful that all goes well. Send positive vibes. I cannot foresee anything that would go wrong, because we've crossed all of our T's and done all of our I's, but we shall see. The house is very small. It's a step away from a tiny house, actually. Vienna 1924 or 25. I've gotten 2 dates. Craftsman Bungalow. It is only 880 square feet, which, even though I live in a small house now, that is smaller. So, hence why I am decluttering and seeing if I can find any new information in here. The Mona Lisa is one of the world's most valuable paintings. It holds the Guinness World Record for the highest known painting insurance valuation in history at $100 million in 1962, which is equivalent to $1 billion as of 2025. I think I'm going to need to make some a blend of ultramarine and burnt umber to get some really darks in here. I could use my paint sticks, my black one. At this point for some of that. But honestly, I want to use up this paint here. It's been in my freezer for far too long. I put it in a airtight little container. And it's been in there probably for a good month. And I'm still using it. The Leonardo and its date were confirmed in 2005 when a scholar in Heidelberg University discovered a marginal note in a 1477 printing of a volume by ancient Roman philosopher Cicero, dated October 1503. The note likens Leonardo to renowned Greek painter Apelles, who is mentioned in the text, and states that Leonardo was at the time working on a painting of Lisa del Giocondo, who is, they assume, is the sitter for this. Boy, that dark really shows up there, doesn't it? Let's see. I have a lot of repeats in my notes, so you'll have to forgive me for pausing every once in a while and referring to more information. Yeah, I kind of like, the more I look at it, I really am liking like the painterly look to it. So I don't know if I am going to make this as make this as totally like Da Vinci's. Because I like that painterliness of it. Which Da Vinci's not here to tell me don't do that. So I'm sure somebody will say I'm destroying a masterpiece. How many copies have there been of Mona Lisa with dogs and other faces put on it? Right? Am I right? See, I could change this and make this look like my local town's view from an area hill that I really like. Or this bridge over here, I could make it a bridge that's in the area, or that was in the area. The depiction of the sitter in the 3/4 profile, where she's looking off this way, her head's kind of tilted that way, is similar to the late 15th century works by Lorenzo de Credi and Angola di Domenico del Maziere. Frank Zellner notes that the sitter's general position can be traced back to Flemish models, and in particular the vertical slices of columns at both sides of the panel had precedence in Flemish portraiture, so like this stuff. That's interesting. The painting was one of the first Italian portraits to depict the sitter in front of an imaginary landscape, although some scholars favor a realistic depiction, and Leonardo was one of the first painters to use aerial perspective. But we know he is the definition of a Renaissance man. Hence, probably, yeah. Again, I'm just kind of blocking this in back there so that I can come back over it and get the details and all later when I come back. with a more detailed brush and detail intentions. Right now it's just, let's get the base colors in and get things going to somewhat of a resemblance in proportions and things. There is a, that made sense to me, but there's like a lighter area right there, like a road coming down to the water. I'm mixing ultramarine blue and burnt umber to get some of these darker values in here. I am not sure how much longer I will paint today. I may just make sure I have this blocked in, kind of like I do this, and then call it a day. Because right now we're coming up on 2 hours. Well, no, according to my timer, it's an hour 40, so that's good. We are rocking and rolling. Although I did kind of block it in yesterday. If you weren't here earlier, I kind of went through and blocked things in with drawing the RNF drawing sticks, oil paint sticks. Which I then kind of scraped off because some of the areas were too thick for the effect that I was wanting. But it left like a shadow. Of where I was. So again, it's very difficult to paint and talk at the same time. It's a skill that you really have to develop, and I don't know that I've developed it as well as I should. I don't think I have this side of it. Again, every portrait's a self-portrait, they say. her face a little rounder than what it should be. Again, I'm just kind of blocking in values right now. I'm not doing detail. I'm making sure everything's kind of situated where it needs to be. And things are things are blocked in where they let's see, the bridge in the background that I mentioned earlier was identified by Silvano Vincetti as the four-arched Romito de Latrina Bridge from Etruscan Roman times near Laternia Arezzo over the Amo River. Other bridges with similar arches suggested a possible location had more arches. Some observers find similarities with the Azone Visconti Bridge. Mona Lisa has clearly visible eyebrows or eyelashes. Has no clue. Although Vasari describes the eyebrows in detail in 2007, French engineer Pascal Coty announced that his high ultra-resolution scans of the painting provide evidence that Mona Lisa was originally painted with eyelashes and eyebrows, but those had disappeared over time, perhaps as a result of overcleaning. He discovered that the painting had been reworked several times with changes made to the size of the face and the direction of gaze. He also found that in one layer the subject was depicted wearing numerous hairpins and a headdress adorned with pearls, which was later scrubbed out and overpainted. Well, that's interesting. I wondered about that. That answers a lot of questions for me. It's very interesting. So she originally had eyebrows and eyelashes. I realize right now it looks like she's giving you the stink eye. That will be remedied. When I go in and do more detail. Also, if you want to see video Sorry, I heard Poncho kind of whine. He's over in his spot, and I think he's dreaming. If you want to see video of the move, let me know, and I will but again, I don't know. It's not we have not closed. We have people to talk to about it, family-wise. I guess we are in a family home. So why am I telling it to the internet? Good question. Because I am so darn excited about it. And I don't think they'll be as excited. I did tell one family member on my side because I knew she would understand my excitement. Plus, I just haven't talked to her in a long time, and I needed to. Just 'cause, time passes. This doesn't, yeah. I need a little more. Our realtor, bless him. I know we're small potatoes, but he has been so patient. Oops, intake reminder. I'm drinking all this water and I'm not getting up to go to the restroom. Okay, let's see. I'm going to try and get some of the bodice in here. Looks like there's a lot more detail on it than I realized. There is an edge. And this goes more like that. Made her more chesty than chances are I'm going to paint over 90% of this. On my next go, but I am okay with that. Again, I'm just blocking in. My studio space that I'm moving to, hopefully, has amazing light. The only thing I worry about is noise, but I think we'll be okay. Noise concerning filming is what I'm referring to. I did not get that edge over there as well as it should be. I have never painted the Mona Lisa. It almost seems sacrilege now, because, I mean, come on, it's the Mona Lisa. I know this is probably not the most exciting thing to watch, but it's real. The shorts are popular, but the artwork does not happen in 30-second goes. It takes some time, especially when you're doing Mona. So Mona Lisa. I'm not going to sing it because I don't want a copyright strike. My mother used to listen to Nat King Cole. Mona has inspired a lot of different forms of artistic expression. She's been earning her keep. I don't know exactly what this is over here. Did you see that on the original? Is that maybe just like part of a tree? I don't know why he left that in there. It's kind of not annoying, but just kind of distracting. Yeah, that's a good word. And it could be that this image has been cut, even though it's from a reputable museum. I love this bluish green that comes in. Just covering all that. It's there. My body's saying, take a break. But my brain is saying, keep going. I should say my artistic desire to do this. This is totally off topic. I know you're shocked. But to the women that are watching, this is a wonderful time of year to make your annual appointments for your women's health care. I only say that because I did mine the other day. I making appointments. Again, I realize this is going to be much darker than I've got her little face too big. I need to shrink that sucker up. Come here, baby. I am just dying to get out a smaller paintbrush and work on her face. I do need to at least get up and stretch because we need to take care of our bodies as artists. It's very easy to sit in one place for far too long, and it's not kind to our bodies in the long term. Let's see, that, there, there. There's a little there. I'm making a darker flesh tone, so I can go in under there. I think I got her eyes too big. That's better. Okay. Let's work on her hands here. I know this all isn't perfect, but I've got it blocked in, and her hands are so important. You know what? Let me get up and move around right after I empty this paintbrush. That my body does not scream at me later. She says if she picks up more paint, see, I think I have this too big. Yep, that looks better. His brush strokes appear to be so soft and blended. what? I am going to get up and walk around. I have to. If nothing else, I've been following my smartwatch and drinking lots of water. If you know, you know. And I know this needs to be, it needs to be darker. Okay, I'm gonna get up and walk around, and I'm gonna set this right here. I'm checking the stream. Be right back. Need to walk around. I'm going to take care of a few other things here too, computer-wise, so people are going to the right stream. come back to answer comments on there. I need to get up and walk around. Okay, I took care of the link issue on social media, so people should be able to. That's me taking off my gloves, by the way. I'll be right back. I'm gonna do what I need to do and be right back. You're okay. I'm just checking mail. I'm coming. Pancho got his treat. I checked mail, found out something was not what we thought it was. That is not bad news. Man, I make a lot of noise when I come in here, don't I? Excuse you, Pancho. Let me get resituated. Honey, I don't have anything. Pancho's wanting something. Okay. Let's see if we have any more interesting information on Mr. Leonardo. Let's see. Put my glove back on. I'm looking over my notes to see if there's anything interesting. I think I'm going to go another 10 minutes. That puts the entire thing at 2.5 hours, and I think that sounds good. Oh, even though the painting was supposed to have been done of Lisa del Giocondo, it was never given to the Giocondo family. Ah, this is interesting. Renaissance art historian Giorgio Vasari wrote that Leonardo undertook to paint the portrait of Leonardo's wife, Giocondo, sorry. Mona in Italian is a polite form of address originating as Madonna, similar to ma'am or madam or my lady in English. This became Madonna and its contraction Mona with 2 N's. The title of the painting is spelled in Italian as Mona Lisa with 2 N's, Mona being a vulgarity in Italian, which is rare in English, where it is traditionally spelled Mona. That's interesting. I did not know that at all. What's up, Pancho? Pancho's wanting some attention, and I think what I'm going to do when I am done with this... What, honey? Is, bless you, is I have a book sitting on my desk that I saw just now that I have not opened, and it is Margaret Atwood's new one. It is a biography, and I have not opened it. My daughter bought it for me when she was here last. And I'd really like to at least peruse it. And when I peruse my books, Pancho, I paused there because I wanted to make sure I had 4 fingers. Honey, I don't have anything. What are you wanting? I don't have anything. I'd like to just get the gist of this hand area in here. This needs to be darker. A lot of things that need to be darker on here. Oops. I'm trying to mix like a yellowish gray, if that makes sense. As I said, this is the original that we're looking at shows the yellowing from age, and I am gonna go with that. That's Poncho in the background, by the way, making noises. Anyway, I'm going to get that Atwood book out here and look at it. At least look at it. I'm way behind on my reading. Way behind. Swoosh that up. Even if I can spend half an hour today, I think that would be good for my mental health. Almost as good as painting. It's really nice having the monitor right here where I can see what you see, and that it gives me a fresh perspective. I always say that, but it's true. I find it interesting that her fingers are so round. There's no I mean, I don't know, maybe I just have old hands. Well, I know I have old hands, but see, you can still see the markings from those drawing sticks, which is not a bad thing. I like those drawing sticks. They're interesting. They're a very interesting experience to use. I can't get detail, but just to draw things out on the canvas, I found them really helpful. More natural, I guess. Perhaps others will find that also, because you're using a stick of paint instead of a brush. I'm not going to put a lot of detail in this area. And it looks much more red on this area than it is on my screen. On my screen, it's more of a golden yellow. Again, monitors and whatnot will change colors and how they're perceived. I said I wasn't going to do details in here, but it's driving me crazy. I love doing folds on fabric, and I don't have it correct here. What I'm going to do with this paint is I'm going to, that's here, I'm going to put it back on that airtight palette tray, and it should be still wet tomorrow when I resume. I know I said an hour and a half, but I'm right at an hour and a half. And I haven't got any fleshy tones in on her hand here. On the post, I mentioned catching up, and the main thing is that we're hoping to be moving here in town. We're not, neither one of us really wanted to leave this town. It's just so Mayberry-esque and just such good people. And our other option was to move out closer to where our children live. But the property values out there are ridiculous. So I mean, even my daughter, who owns her home, will say that she couldn't afford to buy her home now with the changes in the market. I have a lot of repeat information on here. On my notes, that is. The Mona Lisa is the only portrait whose authenticity has never been seriously questioned, and one of 4 works, the others being St. Jerome in the Wilderness, Adoration of the Magi, and The Last Supper, whose attribution has avoided controversy. He had begun painting on a portrait of this one in 1503. In 1505, Raphael executed a pen and ink sketch in which the flanking the subject are more apparent. There's like columns back here instead of this landscape, which I find interesting. Yeah, I know that looks really red, but if I add some of this yellow, I'm somebody that likes to mix on the canvas also, because colors don't always transcribe from palette to canvas as well as we would like. Okay, what time is it? Okay, it's 44 after. Let me work a little bit longer on my hands here and get this. Because see, it's still, I think the hands are too large on mine. Not Mona's, on mine. So I'm gonna shrink them up a little bit here. And this looks a lot darker. Oops. Let's get some of that cobalt. Whoops. I know he used ultramarine, but I've got cobalt right there, and it'll give me a nice dark to lay down in here. Maybe shrink that a little too. Yeah, see, once I get, she's kind of jowly here too. And I think that's because that's what I see in the mirror when I look at myself. So I will, let's see if we can fix that now instead of waiting. I mean, she's got some here, but not to the extent, I don't think, that, put that little reflective shadow in there. Again, I'm using a 1/4 inch brush at the moment, which will, it's keeping me loose and not, getting tied down with the details quite so much yet. She still looks jowly to me. I didn't do much. See this? Maybe I don't have that shadow. I think that's it. I don't have that shadow. Yeah, that's better. And again, it won't be perfect. Because it's a study, right? I'm going to get rid of that one little mark right there, because I just know that's going to come back and want to be covered. Yeah, let's make her hand here a little. I could literally paint on this all day and be this is not going to be finished when I stop today. I am going to go tomorrow also. I know this is a holiday week, and this is going to be my last study for the year. I do this I've been doing it every Monday. All year. And there's a video before this one of me flipping through all of them from the year. I think it's a pretty, it's relatively short. Compared to this, it's short, but that way. It is just me flipping through the sketchbooks and showing what was accomplished. Which is kind of cool for me. I don't know if it's interesting for you, though. For me, I thought it was pretty cool. A lot accomplished. Those little master studies. Okay, can I have that laid out? She seems, this doesn't seem far enough. I wonder, I think I have it at the wrong angle too. It's angled way too much. I am picturing this hanging in my new studio space, new to me studio space. Which hopefully will happen this year. I have to be realistic. We have not closed yet. I keep saying that because it's more of a reminder to me that I need to put the brakes on some things that I have in my brain. Let's see, this looks reddish. Reddish. Sound like I said radish. Reddish on yours, and on mine it is more of a golden. See, I think that's I think if I had more of the darks in here, it would read as it should. And I see, yeah, there's a lot of things I need to do on her little face. But again, I'm using this 1/4 inch. I'm not using a detail brush yet. Because I don't want to get tied down in details. what I'd like to do in the future is just paint an entire painting just with this brush. It leaves it nice and loose. I'm sorry, I know I said I was going to be stopping. It's hard. It's hard to stop. I would compare it to something, but there's children that might be watching. And yeah, I really did just say that. Yeah, this needs... Looks better. Okay, let me get some of this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't. I just want to. I want to paint, but I know this is turning out to be a terribly long video. There's a gentleman that paints every evening, and I love it. I love that he does that. He paints live. I think it's so beneficial for people to see that things don't happen in 30 seconds, that things take some time. And he's developed such a good practice of doing daily. It's just nice to see. And forgive me, I cannot think of his channel information. Yeah, her fingers look a little wonky there, so I'll fix that before I walk away. Like I'm gonna walk away. We all know I'm gonna keep painting. Yeah, we all know it. Well, hubby just sent me a message about the move. Maybe it'll be happening sooner. Maybe that's a good sign. yeah, everybody think positive thoughts and send good mojo. There's so many things about, I know this is not a house channel, so please forgive me. But if there's anybody from my sprints and all that happen to be watching, there's just so many things about this house that I honestly wonder about some divine intervention, and that I just realized the date of what he sent me. Things lining up with like family dates and birthdays and anniversaries, and it's just, it makes me wonder. Both my parents have passed, and I know that's kind of woo woo, but I'm just being honest here. Even the date of what he just sent me is a grandson's birthday. It was put on the market on our anniversary. It was, I mean, there's just so many things. I almost cried when I walked through the house the first time. That's how perfect it is for us. It's not in perfect shape, it needs work. Let's see, I'm looking here. If you missed it, these little sample things that I'm using here are from this company, Gapka. You can send off and get a sample, and these are the samples in these little containers. That's quite a bit of paint to me. Sorry, I keep saying You can get these little samples from this company, and they're handmade paints, and I really like the quality. All I've done is swatched them so far, aside from using them a little bit here. But so far I've been really impressed, and the prices on the paints themselves, if you were to, I'm not affiliated in any way either, by the way. I've been impressed with. Why is it whenever I'm going to stop, that's when people come in? This is not going to be finished today. I am going to be here tomorrow to finish it. I'm looking for a tube of paint here. Umber. Come here, baby. That's raw umber. That's raw umber. Nope, that's burnt umber. set up this little tabaret the other day. Well, I say the other day, but it's been probably a couple of weeks ago. And it's a cart that I did not put the top shelf on, or the handles on the shelf. I kept them off, and it's flat, so that there's a little space underneath it, or a little. Anyway, I can set my glass palette on top of it, and it has drawer and a couple little shelves, and it's got the the hook thingies that you always get when you get those 3-tiered carts, the hooks and the little doohickeys, and so it's very adjustable. I've got my paints in the top drawer that I use all the time, and it's got a hook where I have like a trash can, or trash bag, excuse me, trash bag, and yeah, it's just handy. And it's just it was not very expensive. It was maybe, I don't know, $30 the most, maybe not even that. I'm looking just to see. Yeah, this is not dark enough. I'm going to darken that up. I'm going to come back at this tomorrow to finish it, and it'll help me have fresh eyes also. So some of this might be really changed. Like things move down or over, or like a thumb moved. Or shadow put into place. I feel almost like the universe is playing a joke with all the coincidences about this house. It's like, are you paying attention? Type of situation. Yeah, see, all this down here needs to be a black or dark. Come here, baby. I'm just dipping into these samples. I'm not. Yeah, that gives it a darker. And who knows, tomorrow I might come at this with a palette knife like I did today and get some of this, the roughness of brush strokes off, or I may just leave them. Who knows? It might be a surprise. course, now that I admitted all the woo-woo out loud, it'll stop. I want it to keep coming. I'm going to darken this up over there too before I... Yeah, I've been at it for 3 hours. Let's see. Oops, it's not dark enough. A little darker. A little darker. The universe is listening. I want that woo-woo-ness to just keep on coming. I think I got this too big. Let's make it a little... Yeah, that's better. Like I said, I could very easily sit here and paint all day, but I realize that's a lot to ask of you all to stick around. That was Poncho underneath the desk doing his snort. This, I think I need fresh eyes in order to tell correct perspective for proportions. I love working wet and wet, so I hope this stays at least a little bit of workability. I doubt it will, because this stuff tends to dry relatively tacky quickly. I'm going to pick this back up tomorrow and probably work on a adjustments and details. So I can get this. This done tomorrow. The whole thing needs yellowed up because I want that age look to it. And yes, I'm making myself close things up and stop. Because I can. Because 3-hour long video, yeah. I'll probably do a time lapse once it's all done, but that's a lot of video. It's not the smallest video I've ever done. I think that's the only brush I've used too. I'm organizing my little samples by color. My paint's on this. Let's see. Let's get some white. I'm not cleaning off my palette brush between intentionally on those. Let me get the little Mona off of there. Bye, Mona. Oh, I shut it. Darn it. I was going to mix a little walnut oil in with the paint as I put it in. I think this blue is done for. There we go. I love that green. This might be done for too. This paint was in this container that has a lid. It's airtight, and it was in my freezer for probably a good month, and it stayed wet. So good for it. So it should be fine tomorrow. I really appreciate you all coming and being here. It means a lot to me, more than I can say. This is going to be the last study that I do this year. So, plus I got to share with you a little bit of good news. This is how it went, or how it goes. The thing is, this is a part of a set that you get with a little. I'm trying to make sure that those are. I'm not gonna touch the top. Anyway, it's part of a set that stacks together. See, I could have used that for a palette. No, it's dried on there. There's just something about oil paint. I like acrylics. They have their place, and I've used them on here for master studies in the past. But there's just something about oils. I didn't realize I had as many oils either until my grandkids came. And my grandson was wanting to use acrylics. Well, he needed to use acrylics. He's 12. And he's just smart. But he was trying to follow a Bob Ross tutorial, and he used oils. I should have just set him up with some oils. He would have been fine with them, I'm sure. He's a responsible kid. I wouldn't have had him on my walls or anything crazy like that. Next time I'm gonna have to get him out for him. Tomorrow, this will probably be tacky to the touch. But I should be fine just painting over. If you price a palette, I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm cheap to a fault. If you price a palette that's glass and it has color, a flat gray on the back or on the, it can be pretty expensive. Just be aware you can go to wherever and get a glass cutting board. Make sure it doesn't have any dimples or anything in it. You know, the glass is completely flat. And spray paint the back of it with a gray primer that you can get at pretty much any place that sells tubes or cans of spray paint, and it will, and spray the back of it, not the top of it, but spray the back of it, and then you have that neutral palette to use, which is handy. Whoops, paintbrush just fell. I won't tell anybody. Shh, Poncho was sworn to secrecy. See, like right here, some like ridges that will show up when I come back tomorrow. And I don't want those necessarily. So I'll probably knock those down tomorrow too. There we go. So I'll just leave that sitting there, and hopefully I will see you tomorrow, and we can finish this puppy up. As finished as it's gonna get. That's it, it should be a little lighter. I could sit here and pick at it all day. I don't know why I started doing that. Messing with it. Okay, I am going to let y'all go. I'm going to go schedule the one for tomorrow so we can finish it up, hopefully. And I will see you then. Take care. Please be safe, especially if you're traveling. In the U.S., this is the holiday season. we want you here for 2026. And if I don't see you, I hope you all have a wonderful holiday season. And everybody enjoys themselves and is here for future activities. Life is short, y'all. Go do something fun. All right. Bye, y'all. Thank you. I appreciate you more than I can say. I'm trying to get a screenshot here. That's a good screenshot. Okay. All right. Bye.